Hey, welcome back to part 2 of this sculpting tutorial. Next, we're going to get into actually sculpting a character. We're going to do this little Homer head right here. And if you notice in the previous tutorial, I didn't go over these bottom ones. It's because I wanted to use this tutorial to show you some of these actual these settings and these tools. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create what's like a blueprint for our sculpt, and I'm going to create a couple of planes. One of them I'm going to have on the x-axis, and then another one I'm going to have on the z-axis. So what we're going to be doing is I've got a couple of images here. Let me go into my materials and I'll create a couple of new materials. Then I'll go into my luminance. And I'm going to load an image. Let's go into my texture. I've got 2 different images that I pulled from the internet. And it's really hard to find a front-facing and a side-facing picture of Homer, but luckily I was able to do it. Let's go ahead and do that. It needs to be in the luminant one. Let's go ahead and clear that out. Cool. So our side is going to be there, and I've got it facing the wrong way. That's okay. I can fix that. And I've got that one facing the wrong way. I'll just go ahead and rotate these. Oh, I've got a third plane that I don't need. And then I will rotate this way and then this way. Okay, cool. Now, his head looks kind of stretched out here. So what we can do is we can look at this 334 by 484. So let's go ahead and change this in our attributes to 334 by 484. And that'll set it to the right ratio, but you can see it's now a little bit bigger than the other one. So let's just go ahead and scale it down until we kind of see that we've got everything lined up. And now notice also this one isn't lined up completely to the center, which we can do that there. So focus on the eyes. That one's pretty good. The mouth is pretty good lined up. The ears, I think, are a little off, but that's okay. All right, so Homer's head is kind of a capsule shape. So let's go ahead and create a capsule. Now, if we go into our garage shadings, you're going to see we have these tries. Now, the reason I'm okay with using a capsule during this sculpt is because I'm going to be re-topologizing it anyway. So I'm not too worried. You'll see once we get done with the sculpt, once I render it, there will be like a pinch or something right at the top and bottom, and we don't want that. But since we're re-topologizing it anyway, it's okay. If you're planning on not re-topologizing it, I would say don't start with the capsule, start with the sphere and the hexahedron like we did previously. So let's go ahead and turn this back on. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it editable. We're going to go into our sculpting layer and we're going to subdivide a couple times. Now, we want to get the initial shape. So I'm going to go down to my layer 0. I'm going to do grab, and I want to turn on my symmetry immediately. So local on the XY, you can see I've got the symmetry going on, which is really important when you're sculpting like faces and bodies and stuff. You want to keep that symmetry on. So let's go ahead and move this up. Let's go to a slightly higher level so that we can get a bit more detail on it. But we just need to get that initial shape of his head. Make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to link size, link pressure, link symmetry. So that I can keep everything the same. We'll go ahead and grab that. We'll grab that. You see, that's pretty good. So we've got the initial shape. Then we need to do this here. Let's go from the back area. And we'll spread this out. So we just got to get this initial shape of Homer's head. So that looks pretty good. Maybe bring this out just a little bit more. And then maybe this one. All right. So it looks weird from this side. Let's go ahead and bring this one out as well. Cool. All right, and then bring this to there. You'll see that's pretty good. All right, cool. Now what we can do, once we have that, we can go into our object, we can click on our capsule, and we can hit X-ray. X-ray will help us see things a bit better, okay? So that we can like even make that a bit more narrow towards his neck. There we go. So let's start out with, say, let's go subdivide this a couple times. So we'll subdivide this one more time. Let's start off with his nose and everything. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Let's pull that back in. And then we'll pull this out. Let's pull this out just a little bit. Then we can do that later. So that way we get this good shape. And then we can do the details with it later. And we'll pull this out as well. Pull that back in. Cool. All right. Let's use the inflate in order to get his nose to inflate out like this. So I think I've got a little too much. It's a little too much. And then I'll hit the shift key in order to smooth it out. Let's subdivide one more time so that we can smooth it out. And then let's grab our grab tool and we'll pull this out. Up and down. Cool. All right. And that looks about lined up for the nose. Next, let's do our pulls in order to like kind of bring out his mouth. So once we have the initial shape, I'm gonna kind of hide some things at first, and you'll get used to sculpting. And so you won't necessarily need these blueprints all the time. So let's go with his eyes. Let's go ahead and do a pull. And I'm going to let's make his thing a little bit bigger. Here we go. Cool. Let's do a pull, and we're going to invert this. So you can either go to your settings and hit invert, or you can hold down Control. I'm going to hold down Control. And I'm going to make some spots for eye sockets. And what we can do is we can go ahead and make some spheres for eyes as well. Let's go ahead and rotate this sphere to where the pupils are facing forward. And then we're going to go and we're going to do some symmetry and drop the sphere into that symmetry and then move the sphere and resize the sphere until we get it the right size. Let's go ahead and hide that and go to our front view. See display. There we go. And we're going to move this up, move this up, move this down, and get the right size. Cool. Let's bring back on our capsule. And then you can see it's not forward enough. So we can do that. And then we'll bring it forward all the way until, let's do our side. Display guard shading. Cool. Do that, and then maybe the sphere can be a little bit bigger. There we go. And now we can build up around this using our pull. So click on our capsule, we'll go pull, and we can build out these eyebrows and stuff like that. So build up the let me undo and maybe bring down the strength of this a little bit. So we can build up around and get our eyebrows, our brow mostly, actually. So we're building that up around there. And see, it's these little details that really help sell a sculpt, All right, so we've got that. Now let's work on the mouth, all right? And so he's got these details around here where he's kind of got this little flappy doodle, And then here, it comes down here, but he's also got his mouth. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the knife. We're going to make it really small, and we're going to cut along here. But you see, it looks really stupid, so we're going to go ahead and smooth it out. We're going to smooth it out, maybe cut it a little bit, smooth it out, And then we're going to use the pinch tool. So as we use the pinch tool, you see that then pinches the mouth together. We can smooth that out some more. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Pinch, pinch. Cool. That looks pretty good. This is a very simple sculpt. Now let's work on his ears. We're going to use pull, and we're going to use these pinch ones as well for the ears. I'm going to go ahead and hide the planes. And then let's bring that down, maybe bring the pressure up. We'll just kind of create these little crescents. Bum, bum. And then we can amplify this if we want, so that we're only amplifying that, right? But we're going to need to subdivide it in order to get that looking nice. We can smooth it out as well, so we get some good clean topology. And then we're going to use the pinch in order to really bring in the details to the ears and stuff. We can smooth it out. Pinch, 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 pinch. There we go. And then we've got the ears. And since we had link size, link symmetry, link everything, that did the same thing on the left ear as well, or the right ear, left ear. Yeah. So we've got this Homer sculpt. Let's go ahead and do a pull, and let's give him a little soft palette. Oops. We're going to hold down Control. We're going to do that, right? But then we're going to smooth it out. Cool. That looks pretty good. Smooth that out. Then let's pull out his let's grab his chin a little bit. Oh yeah, not like that. So we can do this, and we'll smooth it out. Here we go, and then let's pull maybe just around the lower part. You know, the more you sculpt and the more you play around, the more you'll kind of know which parts of the body, you know, if you have a good understanding of anatomy, you'll kind of know what all parts need to be there. So anyway, all right, well, there we go. We've got our little Homer. It was pretty easy to do. You can go and you can create some hair if you wanted to. I'm going to increase the amount a little bit smoother. Cool. And then we could also, let's throw that into a null by hitting Alt-G, and then duplicating this and bringing this forward, making it smaller so we've got the little black parts of his eyes, little irises, right? And that's our 3D Homer. All right, let's turn off Gerard shading so we can see what it looks like. It's not the best, but whatever. You get the idea of the tools, and it's all about the tools that you can use. Now, here's we're going to go into this extra little area, and I'm going to show you the cool thing that cinema has to offer as far as keeping high res stuff low res. Say you've made a sculpt, and like, let's look at how many polygons. Right now we're at 188,000 polygons. And if we were to throw that into a cloner, oh boy, we would have a lot of polygons, and it would really make our system start to chug a whole lot. So what we can do is in Cinema, we've got this bake sculpt objects. So check this out. If we click on Bake Sculpt Objects, what we're going to do is we're going to be baking out the displacement or the normals and projecting that onto a low-res mesh. So let's go over to our options, and we're going to do displacement. Optimal mapping. If you've got optimal mapping, if you've got a UV map already, then you can just leave it off. If you don't have a UV map, you can change it to either cubic or angle. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting our source object. So this is what we're wanting to do. This is a level 5 on our sculpting layers. And we're going to target a level 0. Now, for example, let's go over to our capsule. Let's look at our sculpting layers. Let's go down to level 0 and see what that looks like. Okay, that's our level 0, right? Let's look at our topology. Not that great. Let's actually do it onto a level, like a level 1, okay? So let's go up to our 5, object, capsule, bake sculpt object. Let's go to our options. We're going to do a level 1 because that gives us a little bit more topology onto a level from a level 5. And then our settings, displacement, you can leave that as, let's do RGB tangent. and then leave the rest the same. Now baking, let's go ahead and save this as, let's see, sculpting, we'll save this as Homer displacement. And I'll put that in my texture folder. TIFF is fine, 32-bit, preset 8192 by 8192. That's going to give you a really high res quality thing. We can preview what the displacement is going to look like, so you can see that. And then we hit bake. Now what this is going to do, because we had create result copy on there, it's going to create an entirely new mesh for us as we're baking this. And then it's going to go ahead and set up the displacement map for you. So it's gone through, it's done that, it's loading, and now it's made a new capsule. So check this out. So we've got this new capsule, which is, you know, it's a level 1. But when we hit render, let's look into the texture, the displacement, we've got the displacement tangential in here. So when we hit render, boom, we now have what was originally 188,000 polygons onto a capsule that is 738 polygons, or 736 polygons. So we have now decreased the amount of polygons significantly, which is fantastic. So if you're doing like medical animations or something like that, and you're sculpting these beautiful like cells, and you need to keep the polygon count down because you're going to be using a lot of these in your scene, this is a really easy way to do it. And see, it looks great. It looks just like our original sculpt. In fact, let's put them right next to each other. I'll just duplicate the symmetry. And then I'll move our thing. Now check this out. They look exactly the same, which is fantastic. So if you're looking to save polygon count, you can go ahead and do it this way. Okay, so what do the rest of these tools down here do? Sculpt Symmetry, this is really interesting, and it's kind of a saver. It'll save your butt a few times. So say you're on Pull, and you've turned off your local symmetry, and you're just going along, I'm sculpting, having a good time. Yeah, all right, everything's gonna be, oh crap, I forgot to turn on symmetry. Instead of undoing everything, what you can do is you can go into Sculpt Symmetry. Now it's going to do symmetry on everything. So if you just forgot to click it on, then this will save you. If you have an asymmetrical model, this won't help too much. So what we can do is we can do mirror object, and it goes ahead and redoes the sculpt on the left side. Now, you can also do equalize, which means it will take this side and average them out for each of them, which is pretty cool. Okay, then project mesh. What we can do is, for example, we can make a sphere. Let's do hexahedron, and let's go ahead and make this like a little bit bigger. Okay. We can go into our capsule. We can do project mesh. We can drag our capsule as our source, and then our sphere, we need to make it editable. We'll bring that down, and then let's do like a subdivision level 2. Let's project that and see it took that, our capsule mesh, and projected it onto our sphere. So now we've got this, and that's actually a pretty good start for re-topologizing. Holy crap, I didn't expect it to look that good, you know? So if you're wanting to re-topologize, stay away from the volume mesh and actually just re-project the mesh onto a sphere. So let's undo this. Let's see if we can get, let's see what it looks like when we project the mesh from the capsule to the sphere, doing a slightly higher subdivision. Like, let's do that. So it's a 38,000. We'll do that. Look how clean that topology is for that mesh. That's really nice versus when we were using the capsule. Let's go ahead and hide that. We'll bring the capsule. You see, we get this really grossness up here and a lot of topology. So, and that looks pretty dang good for topology. I would use that. I would use that, as that's nice. So there you go. That's what project mesh does. Okay, so now let's look at the last two buttons here, unsubdivide and sculpt to pose morph. Now, right now they're grayed out because we need the right type of topology in order to work with this. So if we go over to our sculpting layers, you can see here we've got a base object 4. Now, say what we wanted to do was we wanted to create another pose based off of this initial mesh. What we can do is we can add a new layer, and on this layer, we can go through, let's say we grab our grab tool, and we like raise up his eyebrows, you know, or like he's way surprised. So, you know, he's doing the cartoon where his eyes pop out of his face, you know. And so if we turn off and on visible, we can see we've got those two different meshes going on. And you can do this multiple times. So what we can do is we can click on this layer 2 and we can do sculpt to pose morph. So what that's going to do is that's going to create a new sculpt, or a new, it's going to bake it down from a sculpt into actual topology, and it's going to add a pose morph tag to it. So now you'll see we've got the base object and we've got layer 2, and when we click animate, we can use our pose morph to morph between the two, which is pretty awesome. So the other one, the unsubdivide, now that we've got a basically a mesh here. So if you were to bring in something, say from like ZBrush, and you want to get it down to see what it was in the original mesh. So like right now we're at layer 4. If we wanted to bring it down to like a level 0 or something, we can use this unsubdivide. And what it's going to do is it's going to take every 4 polygons and make it lower. So let's see. So right here, we've got an unsubdivided. And then let's go over to our sculpting layers, and you can see as we bring it down, whoops, not strength, it'll get lower and lower and lower till we see what our original polygons look like. So it's almost like as we're adding subdivisions, you know, on one of them, this one's actually starting at a higher level and bringing down the levels to something more like this. Awesome. So that's the end of part 2 of this 3-part series. What we're going to do next is we're going to go into retopology, or retopo this mesh so that we can get some good UVs out of it, so that you can use multiple textures without actually having to go through and paint. Stick around, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.
Mograph.com, an online resource for motion graphic artists. Start your week with the Mograph podcast. Industry news, interviews with your favorite artists, and terrible humor. Watch live shows and interviews from Mograph events like NAB, SIGGRAPH, Half-Res, and local meetups.
This is exactly what I should be doing.
Our Mograph Talks feature live demos and motivation from artists all around the world.
Sometimes you gotta make stuff that you're not gonna put on your reel, and I'm not here to judge.
What if Rick and Morty show up for the countdown at midnight? That's where I peaked in life, in my career.
We gotta stop this thing, Rick! It's gonna kill us all!
Hear from the people that create your software, design your render engines, and artists that are changing the face of modern motion graphics.
You get that render done. Yeah, you better frame what?
Mograph tutorials and online classes will teach you about Cinema 4D, After Effects, as well as other popular software and render engines.
Throw in HDR Studio, take the render settings, pick the HDR, put in a reflection, and gorgeous.
Join the conversation in our live sessions.
Ah, that's so funny. All right. I'm going to live forever.
Subscribe today and get the latest updates on our YouTube and other social media channels.
Take all your dreams and just do it!
Subscribe to Mograph.com.